doing two of these on Tuesday, as opposed to one and every.
If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you come to school and you want to learn. Creating that relationship between school, police, and the community is what my goal and my aim is, to make Baltimore City schools a better place to come learn in an environment that we all can feel safe, comfortable, and do the right thing to be better citizens and stewards of Baltimore City.
Today we have an event, a special event where we've invited some local elementary schools to come participate in our barbershop. Just having a safe space to have barbershop talk for restorative conversations has been really great for us. We were able to partner with the Baltimore School Police Department to bring some young people from a variety of elementary schools to come and get haircuts from not only our staff barber, but we also actually have some students that are earning their barber credentials and they're cutting students' hair. So we are partnered with Arundel Elementary, Dorothy Heights, Furman Templeton, Hazelwood, Cecil Elementary, Johnson Square, and Barkley for them to get haircuts.
We know that some of the parents need assistance right now, and so we thought of doing haircuts. It's important for us as Baltimore City School Police officers to build relationship with our students, to let them know that we're just like them, and to build those relationships, which is very important.
Barbers become counselors, therapists, everything. It's a deep thing about history of barbering that a lot of people don't know. Barbers were the first surgeons. It means a lot, telling them the history of barbering, yeah?
As soon as I graduate after the summer, I'm gonna go straight to barber school. That's my plan. I like the satisfaction when I'm done, my customers smiling, feeling like new people, and thanking me for, changing their day.
Young men getting a haircut, our young ladies getting a haircut, it makes them feel good, right? You look good, you feel good, you behave well, and it really makes such a big difference. And it's just been such a value add to our community, and also the ability for some of our students to learn under a master barber to be able to get their hours and get their credential to be a barber. So it's been a really, really great space and place for our school, and we hope to continue that into future years.
I think today was a great success because I went through the day and talked with student after student. They were sharing stories of how they were able to make an intentional, strategic, and specific connection with an employer that would facilitate what they're going to do in the summer and how they see themselves planning for the future. So we were intending to put them on a pathway to a career that will set them on a trajectory for economic mobility.
We're here just spreading the word about a lot of the programs, making sure that the students apply for Youth Works and are able to participate in the 5-week summer job program that we have. We also have different trainings and career opportunities, internships, and apprenticeships.
We have 2 programs that we tell them about. First, we have our 12th grade year program where high schoolers are taught internship career readiness skills. In the second half of the year, they are working and getting their hands in the field. They have big dreams and we are setting them up for success as well.
You can have like a lot of opportunities here, things that I didn't even know. I'm not really sure. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what I want to do, but this program helped me figure out what I want to do.
I think the event overall was pretty good. It gave me a lot of opportunities to see a whole bunch of different things, exposed me to a lot of things I never knew about. I went to a table, it was about construction, then I went to the copying table, and then the youth works one. It really gave me different outlooks on different jobs. I think events like this are important because a lot of people, like a lot of kids, especially in Baltimore, You ask them what they want to do and they don't know. But the schools bringing us here, so we always have an answer to that question with multiple choices.
What I'm hoping they take away, first of all, is inspiration, energy, and an awareness that there are people out here that they know not of who really are pulling for them, who want to show up and open a door, nudge them through, give them information that's going to make a difference for them so that they can make good decisions in good faith, that somebody's on the other side cheering them on. Make it pay. Make the time that you spend, make it pay your future now.
Today is AACBC's Spring General Assembly. It is the third and final assembly of AACBC for the year. This is also AACBC's nominating convention, which is triggered whenever there's more than 3 candidates for any given position. It's an exciting year. It's the first year we've done this. It's a sign that we are building momentum and more students are interested in leadership roles. A lot of our candidates are campaigning today. Students are learning about what it means to engage in and support the AACBC election process and how they can engage their peers when they go back to their school.
Well, the first step is really just showing up, really looking for the other folks in the school who are a part of SGA or ASCBC and being a part of the event. You don't always have to have a leadership title to be a part of these organizations. You can join a committee, you can join an event, you can just share your ideas. That's really the first step. It's just being there and showing up.
Students' voice needs to be heard, especially to the Board of Education, because for the Board of Education, we vote on what their next policy and what their upcoming school years will look like. If they're going to school, they should have an opinion on what their curriculum should look like.
It is critically important to have student voice in all that we do. Our young people have numerous opportunities. They face new challenges. And for us to understand how to better serve our children and students, we need more student perspectives.
I live by the slogan that I live the mission. I have my own nonprofit called the Giving Back Club, and I go and do initiatives to the different schools, and I do a bunch of stuff because I want to get opinions from students. I want to, live in their shoes.
I'm friendly and I'm always willing to talk. I also have leadership roles. For example, I'm part of the CEO Student Cabinet. I'm the founder of the Multilingual Committee at Digital. I'm also the CASA 2026 secretary at Digital. I've had connections already with adults and I've spoken to them, like for example, with Dr. Sanfelices. And if I can do it with the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools, what's stopping me from doing it with the School Board of Commissioners?
I'm currently my sophomore class president. I'm currently making a big impact in my school. I'm carrying a 4.5 GPA, so I'm ready. So let me be your voice.
There's an opportunity to help shape the way in which our young people have experiences and touch points with city schools.
Every day in neighborhoods across Baltimore, students from city schools are dreaming, building, and becoming. They're not just preparing for the future, they're shaping it. Graduates like Angela Pirelli are proof of that.
Baltimore City Public School means to me opportunity. I immigrated from Trinidad and got a lot of exposure to a lot of different things. I went to Northeast Middle School, also went to school at Baltimore Polytechnic Institute. In high school, I got exposed to architecture, which some of the projects forced me out into the city to visit a lot of the historic buildings to learn about why they were there, how they were constructed, who constructed them. Also gave me the opportunity to meet my wife in the after-school program at Baltimore School for the Arts, Twigs program. And all of those opportunities, I think, helped me become the person that I am today.
For Angelo, City Schools was more than just a place to learn. It was a launch pad, a space where mentors encouraged him.
I was always interested in architecture. My father was in construction in Trinidad, so I was always wandering around the job site. But I also loved to draw, and those just seemed like a natural marriage. Mr. Sawyer, who I believe is the principal of Poly right now, ran the CAD or computer-aided drafting class. And again, gave me the tools to learn how to think about drawings technically. Then went to Penn State. And even though I always was interested in architecture, I took that as an opportunity to explore a lot of other things. So one point was an English major, was one point an art major, one point was a teaching major, but none of it really sang to me. And so when I transferred to College Park, Maryland, applied to the architecture program, got in, and really just enjoyed the challenge. Just helped me kind of center my life and create things that'll be here for a long time.
Architecture became more than a possibility. It became a calling. Today, his work helped shape the future of education in Baltimore. And as he looks back, he has one message for the students who are walking the same halls he once did.
Everyone has talent, but how you cultivate it comes from that hard work and discipline. And by that, I mean just kind of showing up every day, working at it, working at your craft or what you're trying to learn. And if you put in the time and the effort, usually you will see the results. And so that's the advice I would give almost anyone is that just be consistent, identify what you want to do, and then work at it. My name is Angelo Parali. I'm a project manager and architect at Morgan State University and I Am City Schools.
Teacher of the Year. I get emotional every time I think about this work. This year, we had over 400 nominations across the district, and over 50% of those nominations came from parents and students. So we know that our parents are recognizing the great work that's happening in city schools, and most importantly, our greatest stakeholders, our students, recognize the great things that teachers are doing for them each and every day, and they're excited to show up.
By the Baltimore City Public School 2025.
Ms. Lou is the person who pushes students and shows them the way. And this is why I think he truly deserves this honor and way much more.
I've known him since middle school, and he's just been helping me so much. And he's just amazing. He's so supportive, and he's so humble. Like, he'll tell you, like, I don't know everything, but he really does. I want to congratulate him.
So thrilled about this honor for Mr. Liu. He's so deserving. He started the AP Calculus program here at ACE, which is enabling so many young people to pursue engineering. But at the same time, he is an amazing teacher of special education. He's a special educator. And the fact that he has this range and is so passionate, so emotional and all in when it comes to young people in Baltimore City, Mr. Liu represents why we have Teacher of the Year.
Bridges to be in tune with what's going on in our schools.
Hello, everyone. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I just want to thank each and every teacher in Baltimore City Schools. You are some of the most important people in our district. We are thrilled that you work here in Baltimore City, teaching the young people of Baltimore City how to lead, how to discover what their talents are. So thank you and happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I love days like today because they are a total surprise. These are teachers who were nominated by their administrators, supported by their staff. And I think it's just important, as we heard from one person, I never expected this. And, I was just doing my job. But just doing your job when you're a teacher and doing it well means really powerful things for young people. They deserve to be recognized. We're thrilled that they are. And just thank you. It's wonderful.
Dr. Ebi has been part of the alternative program 18 years, which is a long time to be a teacher and even longer to be in the alternative program. She does great work and she really does all the things that we talk about in terms of like instructional practices, climate and culture. So she's really amazing teacher and she just fills in their gaps when necessary.
I'm really, really happy and about to cry of giving this special recognition. This recognition will be my stepping stone to continue my desire, my commitment, and my mission to help my students at Middle Alternative Program. Thank you so much.
Monica Patchett is her name. She teaches science, all sciences. And she is really, really effective. And the students really, really love her because what she does is she allows the students to own their learning and to communicate what they have learned to their peers.
I would say the kids are what keeps me motivated coming to work every day. I really enjoy interacting with kids and helping them learn and grow and develop as people, not just science stuff.
We are extremely proud of Dr. Bardacchio. She does an excellent job every day showing up for our students and doing the best that she possibly can, and really just prompts them to excel and learn in mathematics.
We wish her the best and in bringing in more students that would excel at Poly. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Dr. B.
Y'all have your pencils? Good, perfect. Who does not? All right, that's fine. I got you. Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing today? Did you sleep well? All right, did you get enough to eat? Have you heard the term, never judge a book by its cover? Today we are. Tell me your first impression based on that front cover. I want you guys to be able to know what books we have in the library. Make sure you're reading. You won't know if you like it until you try it.
Every day, Baltimore City Public Schools graduates make an impact on the next generation. Patrice Johnson, a proud Mervo alumna, is doing just that by inspiring students to love reading and writing.
Baltimore City Public Schools is a powerhouse. We really produce champions. We really produce people that are going to go above and beyond. Sometimes I like to think that we are underestimated, but highly duplicated. Sometimes when you hear Baltimore City, you automatically think less than, or you have negative connotations. Being someone from Baltimore City Public Schools, that's not what Baltimore City means to me. It means greatness. It means being amazing in spite of so many things that are put up against you. Baltimore City Schools is a powerhouse of a place.
Patrice understands the experience of being a student in Baltimore because she grew up here as well.
I went to Cecil Elementary School number 7. After that, I went to Roland Park Elementary Middle for 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And then I went to Mergenthaler Vocational Technical High School for my high school years.
Her path from the classroom to library wasn't a straight line, but she always knew she wanted to go to college and become the first in her immediate family to graduate.
I remember telling Miss Lawson, I'm only applying to one school because at that time you had to pay for your college applications. And she said, cast the net and see where you go. I was determined to make sure that I go to Howard University. I studied broadcast journalism. I studied print journalism. I wanted to be the next Oprah. I was pregnant with my son and I had to put a big pause to finish my education and to become a mom. I paused my education and transferred to Towson University where I finished. And then the next thing I know, I became a mom to my son.
Patrice has this advice for current city school students.
Be your authentic self no matter what. Read, read. Find something that you love and keep learning about that. Find something that you enjoy and keep learning about that thing because that's how you learn and that's how you grow.
We're proud of the many city school students who discover their passions, embrace unexpected journeys, and ultimately make a difference.
I am Patrice Johnson. I'm the library media specialist at Henderson Hopkins, and I am City Schools.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us for our May 13th public board meeting. Appreciate just the public's patience as we get seated and get arranged and get started tonight. Like to just begin before we do public comment by thanking everybody for joining us. And if you have not done so, the folks who are online, we just want to remind you to please mute your phone. Anyone who does not mute their phone may be muted by the call moderator or removed from the call. Additionally, if you're not a board member or the CEO and her staff, please turn off your video. Just want to acknowledge tonight, we have the budget before the board, which is probably one of the most important things that we here in Baltimore City Public Schools can do to ensure that each one of our young people have an opportunity to have an excellent education. And so tonight's board meeting will feature pretty prominently a discussion on the budget for school year 25-26 and some elements that the board is charged with weighing. And we want to thank in advance all of our stakeholders who have contributed throughout this process to providing comment, input, writing the board. And also we want to thank our city school staff for developing board projections in advance for the board to review. So I'll now read a roll call of the board to identify who's on the call. Please identify yourself first before speaking for the record. Vice Chair Parker. Commissioner Ames Messenger.
Ames Messenger present.
Thank you, Commissioner Coy.
Commissioner Coy present.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito.
Commissioner Esposito present.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay, present.
Thank you, Commissioner Mohammed. He's here. He'll be joining us shortly. Commissioner Redding Lollinger.
Commissioner Redding Lollinger present.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooks. Commissioner Rooks will be joining us a little bit later this evening virtually. Commissioner Simmons.
Commissioner Simmons, present.
Welcome. Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Commissioner Slater Harrington present.
Thank you. And I'm also present. Is there a motion to reopen the meeting?
So moved, Esposito.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. All in favor? Commissioner Ames Messenger.
Yes.
Commissioner Coy.
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Yes.
Commissioner Mohammed. Commissioner Redding Lollinger.
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington. And I'm in favor. This motion passes. In recognition of the JROTC from Edmondson Westside High School, the Red Storm JROTC Battalion will join us to open up the meeting this evening. Please stand for that.
Order. Up. Guard. Hope. Stand. Up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Order. Up. Vote. The color. Ready, cut.
Now I'd like to invite Commissioner Kenyatta Bay to read our moment of silence.
I would like to take the time to recognize the passing of city school students. Each of these individuals were a part of our school communities. They will be remembered fondly by the greater City Schools community. Tonight, we send our deepest condolences to their friends and families. From the William S. Baer School 301, Kamari Gibson, grade 1. Kamari was a first grade student at William S. Baer School. She was lively, kind-hearted, and loved to have fun at school. Some of her favorite activities at school were reading stories, coloring, and completing assignments on her classroom iPad. She also enjoyed taking selfies with her friends during her gross motor therapies. Kamari also loved to dance with her peers and staff members during our dance resource here. Kamari has forever left her mark on Baer, and we truly miss her spunk and amazing light. From the Mary Rodman School number 204, Micah Comegis, grade kindergarten. Micah Nathaniel Comegis was a proud kindergarten student at Mary E. Rodman Elementary School in Baltimore City. Micah was deeply loved by his teachers, classmates, and staff. His joyful spirit and sense of humor lit up every room he entered. More than just a friend, Micah was someone others could count on, whether it was helping in classroom or being a shoulder to lean on. He lived out of the Mary E. Rodman 5 promises every day, embodying perseverance, contribution, gratitude, honor, integrity, and commitment to quality. He was reading above his grade level and will be greatly missed. He participated in after-school programming, and his favorite character was Spider-Man. Micah's vibrant personality and generous heart left an unforgettable mark on those who knew him. Lastly, I would like to take the time to recognize the passing of a city school employee. This individual was committed to supporting our students through their work. The Greater City Schools community will fondly remember this employee. Tonight, we send our deepest condolences to the employee, family, and friends. It is with deep regret we inform you of the passing of Isaac Preston. Ms. Preston started her full-time career with City Schools on September 28, 2016, where she served the staff and students for a total of 5 years and 9 months at Booker T. Washington Middle School and Carver Vocational Technical High School as a teacher, secondary. Ms. Preston unfortunately departed on April 8th, 2025, and will be missed by her family, friends, and City Schools. Let's take a moment of silence for these souls. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. It's always really unfortunate to lose anybody in our community, especially our youngest learners, and appreciate the opportunity to recognize them here tonight, as well as losing our staff. So thank you so much for that. Is there a motion to approve the prior open session summaries?
So moved, Esposito.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
All in favor, Commissioner Ames Messenger?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Mohammed,
Yes.
Commissioner Redding Wallinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington,
Yes.
and I'm in favor. Is there a motion to approve the closed session summaries?
So moved, Esposito.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Simmons.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. All in favor, Commissioner Ames Messenger,
Yes.
Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Mohammed,
Yes.
Commissioner Redding Wallinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington,
Yes.
and I'm in favor. Thank you so much. Ordinarily, I would do my board chair comments this evening, but I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to welcome Mark Parker from the first city council district here in Baltimore City to provide a few remarks. We don't oftentimes get everybody from the city council to visit, but we recognize it's a special opportunity to hear from some of our most important stakeholders in the city. So welcome you above here to provide a couple of comments to the board this evening. So welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here. I want to, in particular, thank Chair Sally and Vice Chair Parker for the invitation to come and speak, especially as you all are considering the budget and moving that forward. It's always good to be present with you all. Thank you, Chief of Staff Perkins Cohen. It's an honor to serve as Vice Chair of the Education, Youth, and Older Adults Committee on the City Council in my first term in office. Grateful to do that work alongside John Bullock, our chairperson, representing his own district on the west side. I'm grateful to have seen many of you all out at Patterson, which is just outside of my district now, thanks to redistricting, but it was good to see many of you all there engaging with a wide range of stakeholders and students and teachers, staff, and parents there. So really grateful to be able to spend that time with you and to see you out and about in the community, engaging with our folks there. I should also mention I'm a city school parent. My son is a freshman at Poly, he just had his first AP exam. So wrapping that up for this school year, and my daughter is finishing 5th grade and is excited to move to middle school back down in Patterson Park. My comments this evening focus on the budget that you all are considering, and they cover kind of a broad range of kind of overall themes instead of specific line items or things like that. I know we'll have a chance to review that at City Council very soon as it's introduced later this week, and then we'll have the budget presentation from the staff coming up soon. I want to start with this just to acknowledge uncertainty is certainly around our state budget, our city budget, and city schools budget. Difficult financial reality that we face here across the United States, but particularly in Maryland and in Baltimore City, is significant and it's changing every single day. And so the opportunity to be flexible and prepared for those changes is challenging for all of us. And I certainly appreciate the work that you all have done and city school staff have done to prepare our schools for that. The chaos at the federal level, threats of cuts to federal aid and grants is driving this massive uncertainty. We saw what that looked like for our legislators in Annapolis, and seemingly they're going to come back and do some more work possibly later this summer as kind of more dust settles or more chaos continues down in Washington. And so it's a significant task ahead of us for you all to pass a budget and for the city to receive that as part of the overall spending that we're going to approve for the next fiscal year. At times of great economic uncertainty, the investments that you all are making, that we're making, in particular in education, our young people and careers and college readiness, that's the best thing we can do when everything else around us is shifting beneath our feet, right? We know that investments in our young people and our school system that supports them and our families will ride out the current storm and are always going to be the right way for us to spend our money and express our values. So I'm grateful to be able to do that with you all. I'm going to continue to work to protect the investments that we've made, in particular as part of the blueprint. I know the City Council overall shares that. The blueprint has been an overwhelming success from my perspective here in Baltimore in particular, and for the state overall. Looking at significant growth in reading and math competencies, our decrease in chronic absenteeism coming out of the pandemic and continued important work on that, increasing enrollment here in our city schools, as families have chosen to stay in the city, send their kids to public schools because they see the good things that are happening in their neighborhood for their kids and for their neighbors. Certainly in the first district where a lot of that growth is happening, and we're so incredibly proud of each one of our schools that we have there. I want to name in particular the way that that the outcomes of the session in Annapolis and your good work have protected, in particular, community schools and their transformative power. Not only as a city council person, but as a pastor and a parent and community leader for the last 16 years in Highlandtown and Southeast Baltimore, I've seen the ways in which community schools and that model has transformed community school relations, has supported families and parents in crisis, and has helped to then stabilize students so that they can achieve and learn and grow in the way that we know that they can. So grateful for that. Really appreciate the way that Baltimore has leveraged concentration of poverty funds to make sure that students in need and communities in need are getting the resources that they deserve through the blueprint work. In terms of expanding investments, I'm an incredible advocate for early childhood education. That's included starting our own preschool, serving 56 students, multilingual students in Southeast Baltimore and Highlandtown. Incredibly proud of how strong the pre-K education program is in Baltimore City schools, and we lead the way and are demonstrating for other counties what that looks like. And it's because we've been doing it so long and at such a high level. And so I want to make sure that our budgets are, and that we're taking opportunities to increase our commitment to pre-K education, as well as to earlier ages. Some of that isn't happening through the school system, but is happening in the broader environment. And so I want to make sure that Baltimore City Council is a partner with you all in supporting our youngest learners. I really appreciate the emphasis in city schools, and I see it in Patterson, especially every time I visit, as well as our vocational schools, particularly in preparing young people not only for success in college, but for careers. We've hired, in our preschool, we've hired students straight out of Patterson who have their certifications already ready to go for early childhood. And I know that other industries and other businesses around the city are looking to keep young people, talented, gifted young people in the city and give them opportunities. And so I appreciate the way that Baltimore City public schools are being an active partner in that career work. I know we've had lots of conversations last year about how to continue to increase seats, educational slots in communities which are seeing significant sustained growth in student population. I know we've been working creatively on Canton Middle School, and I'm hopeful that that is part of that solution, but I'd be remiss to not also acknowledge the major investments through the 21st Century School Program across the city, but in particular in Southeast Baltimore, where those dollars were leveraged prudently to make sure that seats were available in communities where populations are growing. And we've seen that have a huge impact on school overcrowding, but also school performance, because those go hand in hand, and school climate and everything else, right? And so just to thank you on behalf of our communities and our neighborhoods for that good work. In this difficult environment, I want to also make sure that I'm saying out loud alongside all of you, affirming our commitments to our underserved populations, particularly multilingual learners, students with disabilities, and as we think about special education funding, and especially unhoused youth and youth who are in our foster care system, right? That we have a particular responsibility to care for and provide for them. And I'm grateful for the ways that City Schools is doing that and continuing that commitment. I say all of that in the context of I mean, we talked about economic and budgetary uncertainty, but beyond the finances, which is our main topic tonight, just to recognize that we have an administration in Washington that fundamentally doesn't support and share the values that underlay public education at all. And in addition to that, is actively pursuing a white supremacist and xenophobic and anti-trans agenda, which directly attacks and is hostile to the well-being of our students and our neighbors, right? And I want to thank in particular the way that Baltimore City Schools, Dr. Santelises and others have stood in the breach and done everything possible to protect our students. And I've seen that play out on a regular basis as our principals and staff are implementing prudent, thoughtful, protective measures to make sure that students in my neighborhoods and the neighborhoods that I serve are protected from aggressive and, I would say, unethical and immoral federal actions. So thank you all for that work. I know we have some continuing work that we have before us. I know we're continuing to look at absenteeism and continue to make progress there. Transportation has been a lively issue. We've talked about it at City Council. We'll continue to have those conversations. You all are having them here. A transportation system that works for kids is one that works for everyone, right? And so to make sure that we are continuing to build that alongside our state partners and working towards solutions year over year after year. And thanks again, right? I want to close with this. I really appreciate the partnership. I know this has been a huge priority for Council President Zeke Cohen and matched by Chairperson Sally and Vice Chair Parker to make sure that the ties and the active working relationships between our committee on the City Council of Education, Youth, and Older Adults is working closely alongside the Board of School Commissioners so that we're sharing information, we're sharing values, we're thinking together strategically. I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of that and look forward to my role in ensuring that the budget for this next fiscal year reflects the values that we share and the investments that we're making in our future. Especially as we enter into a time of transition with Dr. Santelises leaving us, and as we prepare for new leadership here, I want to make sure that for my part, for our committee's part, and for the City Council overall, that we are active and engaged partners alongside all of you and City School staff in building off this period of stability and growth and success, sustained success that we've seen, and making sure that we are partners with you all in making sure that the next era in the life of City Schools is even more successful. So thank you very much, Chair Sally. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I just want to give an opportunity for colleague and board members who may have a couple this evening.
Yeah, I want to take the opportunity just to say thank you. Your presence at this past listening session at Patterson High School was more than welcome. I think it showed the community a level of commitment to issues around safety and wholeness, that the issues of safety are important to all of our city. That when it comes to individuals in school or out of school, it's all of our challenge to work together. And your partnership has been a reflection of that. So I want to take the opportunity to say thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rahman.
Commissioner Esposito, followed by Commissioner Kenyatta.
Yes, so on the topic of transportation, I got to participate in a panel discussion yesterday, and it's very clear to me that we need partners. So I'm hoping that your committee and us can have some discussions on ways to improve the public transportation.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, because it's not election time. You know, and the thing is that often this is the only time that we get to really, I mean, we're expanding. The board is expanding, it is growing, it is reaching out, it is becoming more intertwined with community, and I'm glad to see it coming from the City Council too, because it was little ivory towers before. And I'm glad to see this move, and I want to say thank you for being bold enough to make the move, because sometimes standing out there in the forefront in the beginning can be one of the hardest places to stand. But congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, we've been in connection over these last couple of months on conversations around summer funding and what are we doing with our young people. And I just want to take this opportunity that I haven't taken to thank you and the committee for being intentional about the relationship with the community and having hearings in neighborhoods versus at City Hall. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Commissioner Simmons. I was remiss in not saying that we were just at Edmondson West Side again for that hearing, and it was a really good to be out on the west side as well.
Chief.
Thank you for your partnership and
And you work in the Southeast. You've been a longtime partner in the Southeast, long before you were elected to city council, engaging with us around school decisions. And so a lot of that work we were able to do in the Southeast, you were helpful with. So thank you for your advocacy, because it is very different now, the amount of we haven't totally addressed the overcrowding issue, but we certainly have been able to address some of it. So I appreciate your help.
Thank you, Chief of Staff.
Just to echo, just one big thank you for joining us this evening. I think the presence by City Council here tonight just goes to show the work that we've done to lay a foundation of partnership, trust, and reciprocal work towards supporting all of our young people in our communities together. We look forward to that continuing relationship. I'd just like to ask our board, along with the audience, just to raise a round of applause for thanking Commissioner Parker. Excuse me, Councilman Parker. I was going to have him join us on the board tonight. Thank you so much. Before we go forward too, I just want to acknowledge we are very fortunate tonight as Dr. Santelises is joining us virtually. We have Chief Perkin Cohens who's joining us here at the desk. And so we appreciate her leadership taking up the helm tonight to guide us through the staff portion of the evening. So thank you. Thank you. Anything additional on our end? Nope. Okay, so we're going to go forward on our agenda this evening. We're going to move forward to the personnel, employment, and payroll, as well as quasi-judicial. Board colleagues, please let me know if you'd like an item removed, and please state, actually, just please let me know if there's an item you'd like removed. I'll go through each item on the PEP tonight. So 3.01, excuse me, 3.02, appeals in a hearing case number 23-315A. Appeals, item 3.03, appeals in a hearing case number 24-326A. Appeals in a hearing case number 24-2540S.
Please pull.
All right, thank you. We'll pull that for a vote. Item 3.05, appeals hearing case number 24-2542S. Hearing that, for item number 24-254S, is there a motion for that particular item?
I move to reject the examiner's recommendation and affirm the CEO's decision.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll take Commissioner Redding Lollinger. All in favor? Commissioner Ames Messenger?
No.
Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Mohammed.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Redding Lollinger.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
Thank you. And I am also in favor. That motion passes with 1, 2, 3, 6, 8 in favor, 1 no, and 2 absent this evening. This motion passes. Is there a motion to approve the remaining PEP and appeals items?
So moved, Esposito.
Thank you. All in, is there a second?
Ames
Second,
Messenger.
Kenyatta Bay.
I'll take Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Thank you. All in favor, Commissioner Ames Messenger.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Coy.
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Yes.
Commissioner Mohammed.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Redding Lollinger.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
Thank you, and I'm in favor. This motion passes. Moving forward to the consent agenda, I'll now review the consent agenda. Board colleagues, please let me know if you'd like an item removed, and please state your item, your question for staff. Item 4.02, fiscal year 25 quarter 3 financial results. This is going to be a written update to the board this evening instead of a presentation. It also will be found in board docs. Item 6.01, fiscal year 25 Q3 proposed general fund budget amendment. Item 6.02, operator location waiver request, Green Street Academy. We will pull that item for vote. Item 6.03, FY26 budget. We will pull that item for presentation and vote this evening. Item 12.01, Amplify Incorporated. Item 12.02, Arts for Learning, Maryland. Item 12.03, Arts for Learning, Maryland, which is a separate procurement. Item 12.04, Charter 1, NFP. Item 12.05, College Bound Foundation.
Please pull.
And pull that item. Are you pulling that for vote or question?
Question.
Okay. I'll pull that for question. I'm also going to pull that for a separate vote, if that's okay. Item 12.06, Humanin. Item 12.07, Johns Hopkins University. Item 12.08, Leaders for Tomorrow Youth Center. Item 12.09, Media Rhythm Institute LLC. Item 12.10, Math and Literacy Intervention Programs.
Please pull.
Are you pulling for question or for vote?
Questions.
Can you state your question for 12.10? I think it'll be helpful just to get our.
For the public awareness and the level of investment.
Awesome. For 12.05, just to go back in time, which is College Bound Foundation, can you state your question for staff on that one, Commissioner Mohammed?
Clarity around current effectiveness.
Thank you. Our last item is 12.11, Springboard Collaborative. Okay, we'll now move to public comment. This portion of the evening. We'd like to invite up the Associate Student Congress for Baltimore City. I believe tonight they have two presentations they want to make available to the board. I believe Taylor Freeling is going to be joining us. Welcome.
Okay. Hi. Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Taylor Freeling Taylor. I am the sophomore class president at Western High School and ASCBC's LGBTQ plus diversity liaison. Though this school year is coming to an end, ASCBC is still up, bright, and busy. The annual elections for student commissioner and ASCBC officers are coming up May 19th through the 22nd. On April 9th, students who attended ASCBC's General Assembly participated in a nominating convention to narrow the candidate pool to 3 candidates per position. This is the first time ASCBC has held a nominating convention and reflects the growing interest of students in growing their leadership and advocacy through ASCBC. In our student commissioner race, we have our current student commissioner, Dylan Rooks of City College, running for his second term, myself, Taylor Freeling Taylor of Western High School, and Zara Chicas Guzman of Digital Harbor High School. In our presidential race, we have Jerome Brooks of Frederick Douglass High School, Ohima Anim of City College, and Isaiah Gregory of Baltimore Design School. In our vice president race, we have Amira Moore of Baltimore Design School and Campbell Anderson and Alex Yunga of City College. Even though these are our most competitive races, we strongly encourage students to learn about the candidates in all of our races on ASCBC's website. On May 8th, candidates attended a town hall meeting that was open to the entire Baltimore City Schools community, where they had the opportunity to meet the candidates and learn more about their platform. A recording of this meeting is available on City Schools YouTube and ASCBC's Instagram. Voting will be taking place May 19th through the 22nd again, and results will be announced on May 27th. Please help spread the word that all 6th through 12th grade students will have the opportunity to vote on their student representatives. We ask that you wish all of our candidates good luck in their races. We also want to congratulate our students at Baltimore Design School, Isaiah Gregory and Amira Moore, who won the BWI Third Good Congressional Award for their case study challenge. Winning first place, Isaiah and Amira discussed the historical inequities in Baltimore City schools compared to the rest of Maryland. These students were recognized by multiple government officials and Hampton College. Lastly, I want to extend my congratulations to ASCBC's graduating seniors. Brooke Bourne, ASCBC's 2-term president, Christiana Diggs, 2-term vice president, Leah Stearns, ASCBC secretary, Eleni Lila, chief of staff, Cameron Askew, Communications Director, Justin Lyles, Legislative Affairs Director, and Kennedy McCray, Ad hoc member. We want to wish them off well and hope they come back and share their light with ASCBC whenever they can. Thank you for your time.
I had the pleasure, I think there were a couple of our board commissioners that also had an opportunity to come out on the initial set of speeches that were made by our students for ASCBC election, and just the amount of energy that day, that what I saw, the amount of time and prep that folks put into actually developing their speeches, their pitches was amazing. And so I believe there's a video, I'm not sure, I think it's available on City School's website. It may be on ASCBC, but I invite the public to check out the speeches, the energy, the day, what all went into that. So we're looking forward to seeing the outcomes of the election and wish everybody very well. So thank you, Taylor.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite up Ms. Billets from CCAT. Welcome, welcome. Whew.
Good evening to everyone that's in the room and those that are virtual. My name is Sheila Billups. I'm the CCAT chair. Just in case you don't know what CCAT is, I'm gonna help you. We are Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee for Baltimore City Schools. I came a few months ago to explain to you all about the parent surveys. Well, we're almost at 10%, and that's a plus from years past. So it's important for us to encourage everyone we know, children is receiving special education services in Baltimore City from February through May. Please contact anyone you know, because it makes a difference for the state of Maryland. So we're almost at 9%, which we had been very, very low before. So I'm excited about that. We had a wonderful meeting last night. CCAT meeting, our meetings in May is always around mental health and behavioral concerns. And we had a wonderful meeting last night. We had two presenters, Dr. Eric Levy, who works for Baltimore City Schools, and also Mr. Ted Hastings, who I work closely with at William S. Baird School. A phenomenal meeting. Our last meeting of the year will be June 9th. Oh, I have new brochures. So make sure you all get yours. I have some for you all. June 9th, our meeting will be about insurance. We have two people coming. One will be doing the overview mainline benefits. Not only is it medical insurance, but it's life insurance. Usually with students or individuals with disabilities, kind of hard to get insurance. So life insurance is very important, as we heard about the little young ones that had just passed away. So as insurance is very important, life insurance. And also an overview from MedStar Family Chores. And my last statement is about let's get hype. Yes. Well, we're partnering with the Office of Engagement that we were coming out to do. It's going to be at Liberty this year at Baltimore City Community College. The date is May 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. You can contact the office. They got a barcode for you to scan. We need we need students, we need parents, and we also need vendors to come out and support this great opportunity for the students to be excited about where they're going in career in life. Thank you. Completed. Oh, wait a minute, forgot to say this. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Staff Week last week. And Happy Nurses Month.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Thank you. I'd like to invite Zach Taylor from the Baltimore Teachers Union to go this evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Tonight we want to talk about something that sometimes is glossed over as a mundane kind of bureaucratic thing, but it really has impact on families, on students, and on especially teachers. And this is the surplus process that happens in our schools. We've heard you all talk over the last several meetings, and you've heard other board comments about staffing. And we understand This was a tough year budget-wise in terms of the planning. What we use in January changes over time, but it led to many, many, many schools engaging in the surplus process, which is the elimination of a staff position, which leads to those staff members having to find another place to work. They're still employed by city schools, but they're no longer going to be returning to that school. This has happened to staff who have had 20 years of experience at their schools, 10 years of experience. It's happened to staff when those staff members have more time in that role than the other teachers who are currently there. It's a process that is not rules-based. It is not rules-bound in the same way it is in other districts across the state. And that's what we want to work with you all on to help address this in the future. This is really tough. These are teachers sometimes who have been at the school for 3 or 4 times longer than the principal who has made the decision of who to surplus. We also have situations where principals have told us they don't like being put in this position. They feel that a rules-based process that determined how surplusing would work would impersonalize it and take away the variance. When we talk to principals, we hear very different rationales. Some say, well, I just picked the least senior. Some say, I use my effectiveness ratings. Some say they kind of had to just flip a coin. They didn't know who to eliminate in that particular role. Sometimes it's more apparent, to be honest, but sometimes it's just not. And so what we want to work with you all on is a rules-based process that would help determine how surplusing would work. This would also help retain staff. Staff who are surplus are more likely to leave. They don't want to start over. They don't want to necessarily go to another school and say, okay, I'm going to figure out what I'm doing. It might be in different grade level. I might be in a completely different content. If I'm like a secondary science teacher, I might be moving from biology to something else that I haven't taught. We can work together to figure this out, but right now it is certainly leading to many people making a decision. Is Baltimore County better for me? Is a school that's closer to my house, if they don't live in Baltimore City, better for me? And these are the conversations that are happening across the district. We can fix this, and it doesn't need to be just straight up seniority based. It doesn't need to be sort of a traditional, like what people think of as like a staunch union position. It can be something, what we see in other districts is a process that looks at credentials, experience with that credential, effectiveness even, and time in that building. So there's a lot of ways that this can look, but we need to figure it out. The current process is straining school communities. You had teachers who were planning to loop with their students in elementary schools, teaching 2nd grade. They taught them in 3rd grade. They thought they would do 4th. That's no longer the case. And it's tough, and it's hard. And it's not just teachers. We have it with paraprofessionals who work in pre-Ks for over a decade in a case, and we can figure it out. Something else we want to work on, significantly changing gears, but this also can sound very mundane, but is very important. And this is our open enrollment process. And I know it is May. We aren't doing open enrollment till November, October. But this is a significant pain point in city schools, and the union has brought up this issue for at least 3 years. I've brought it up myself for 3 years. And the benefits team in city schools is great, but they are understaffed. We could and should have more people working on benefits. And right now, our open enrollment window opens on a Monday to select our healthcare, some of the most important decisions we make in terms of like what is right for our families. It opens on a Monday. It continues for the rest of that week. We have that one weekend. It goes through the next week and it closes on Friday. It's the shortest one I can find in the state of Maryland. And for the staff here who are in other roles, it's not just teachers, it's everybody. And it's tough. It doesn't overlap with our spouses. It doesn't give us time. If we're really busy with school events that week or that weekend, we don't have time to figure it out. We've heard that there are challenges with getting this figured out this year because we're moving to this new expensive ERP system. So maybe 2026 is the year. We need to get it fixed. We would love to have it fixed in 2025. If it's 2026, okay, but we've spent $50 million on this new system. Let's get it done. We need more time. Other places, my spouse, she gets a month. Other places in Maryland get 3 weeks. It would be great. And it's just a pain point that we live with for a whole nother year when we make the wrong decision. And so let's work together on these things. I appreciate you hearing us out and happy to follow up. I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Zach. We appreciate it. To welcome Dorothy Bryant from the American Federation of State and County, and Ms. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair Sally, Vice Chair Parker, and the commissioners. My name is Dorothy Bryan, and I am privileged and honored to serve as the proud president of ASME Local 44. ASME Local 44 members are working hard day in and day out to make it possible for our Baltimore public schools to run. Our members work to keep our kids safe. We strive to keep our public schools clean and in good working order. We ensure our children are well fed, and we work to get students with disabilities safe to school each and every day. The work of our members makes it possible for our children to thrive in their schools. Our members love what they do, but this work also comes with many challenges that I wish to highlight here today. First, despite essential to the function of our public school, too many of our members do not earn a living wage. In fact, some of our members are barely making more than the minimum wage. Many of our members must work multiple jobs to make ends meet and provide for their families. Often this requires our members to travel across the city to multiple jobs just to get by. This creates a real hardship and burden on so many of our members. Dedicated people who have served our children for 10, 20, or even 30 years or more should not have to work multiple jobs to strap by. Their job serving our school should sustain them.
No sound. She's talking, but no sound.
In good faith with the school system to address these issues and more. We are fighting for a new minimum starting wage to attract more folks into our school, an increase in base pay, an increase to address the effects of inflation. We are calling for expanded health and safety training, necessary personal protective equipment, and protection from heat stress. We are also negotiating to create a pathway for contracted out workers to become permanent employees, so they may have the same workplace protection and benefits as union representative employees. We urge the Board of Commissioners to support these efforts and reach an agreement with our union that honors the work of our members and create conditions that lead to safe and healthy schools for our community. Thank you.
So much. Thank you, Ms. Bryant. We do appreciate those comments this evening and appreciate the service of all of your members to our young people. Thank you so much. Next, turn over to Dr. Jenkins for our general public comment this evening.
Thank you, Chair. Our first public comment will be from Teresa Fleming. The agenda topic will be budget. She'll be commenting live in person. Just a reminder, those folks coming up, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Go ahead and come on up. And just remembering to stay on topic. And I will also give you just a warning when it's at 3 minutes and just close out that. Thanks.
Good evening, commissioners. Good evening to you all. My name is Teresa Fleming. I have proudly worked as Baltimore custodian for Baltimore City Schools for 30 years. I also have believed to know I work hard and enjoy taking great pride in what I do. My favorite part of my job is entertaining and interacting with our students and making sure they have a clean and healthy environment to school and learning. Students in my school know me as a family and trusted adult can depend on me, giving me such pride and joy to know I have strong relationships with students and my work creates clean and healthy environments for the learning. Baltimore City Schools must do better to keep people with, like me, to get new directions and dedication people in our schools and have been our work for years. To get most of our co-workers are working 2 or more jobs. It's impossible for families, co-workers of mine that work in food service and rely on their food stamps because our school systems are not paying them high enough money, wages, and they have earned nothing. And we have a time trying to survive. I'm a little nervous, y'all, but what I'm saying to y'all today is true. I have been in Baltimore City Schools for 30 years. And I am a worker over the years. I have witnessed the school system relying on contractors more and more to do the work, the co-workers. And then when we struggle, we got to do the work when they don't do it. Or they half do it, then they come and get us and say, y'all got to do this work. And that's not fair to us as Baltimore City employees, that y'all contracted something out and then we have to do the work. And I thank y'all and have a good night.
Thank you so much. For those comments, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Robert Hannon, Frederick Douglass High School. Topic will be budget as well. Commenting live in person. You will also have 3 minutes.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Robert Cannon, and I proudly work as a hall monitor at Frederick Douglass High School. And I first started my role in 2003, and for over 20 years, it has been a blessing to work in this position with students each and every day. I love my job because of the positive impact I have on shaping the lives of our students. Students have looked up to me as a big brother, an uncle, or mentor, a trusted adult that can help them with their problems and challenges that they have every day. My ultimate responsibility is to care for our children, keep them safe, and help them learn the tools they need to overcome their personal challenges. It's given my life so much purpose to work with so many children and help them grow into young adults. While I love what I do, I feel blessed to do this work. I also carry with me a permanent scars from this work that are present with me every day. In 2010, I was working with a student to help de-escalate a problem, and the student picked me up and slammed me to the floor. And I am 60% disabled, and I have 2 herniated discs and a permanent damaged sciatic nerve in my right leg, and I have constant numbness from my hip to the bottom of my foot. And I have this every day. In 2019, I almost lost my life because a shooter came into the school, and the shooting happened right in front of me at the front door. And I felt this bullet pass my head. the worst experience of my life. The amount of violence we must endure is unacceptable, and more must be done to protect our children and our staff. All of us deserve to go home safe the same way we went to work. And to this day, I have PTSD. I cannot tell you how many times I've experienced having flashbacks of that day. Even if someone pops a balloon, it sets me off. If I'm outside in a car going down the highway and it backfires, it sets me off. Sometimes I can't sleep. I have moments that I can't deal. After these challenges, as if these challenges are not enough, many of my coworkers and I struggle to make ends meet. I have worked with the school since 2003. And since then, sometimes I've had to work 2 jobs. In the past, I worked a night shift at the airport, 10 at night till 6 in the morning, and come right to school and work the day shift. The wages we receive are not nearly enough to keep us afloat. We play such an important part in our schools for our children. We are mentors, we're trusted adults who help our children grow and we keep them safe, yet we're not treated with the respect and dignity we deserve. I just ask that you please dedicate more resources to the school support. We need a living wage and safe working conditions so that our students and our staff can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing with experiences in city schools, and we really appreciate your dedications. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Melissa Schober, parent of a Baltimore City school student. The topic will be school choice, and this will be a video.
My name is Melissa Schober. Last year, I requested data on 2023 composite scores for the city's 8th graders. First, I looked at historical data to understand the minimum score a student would need to be admitted to a selective high school. In the post-COVID period, students generally need a score in excess of 700 to have any chance of admission. I focused on the selective entry schools simply because of graduation rates. This is a map of every high school in the city, save for alternative and separate public day programs. The orange dots are schools with 4-year graduation rates at or above 90%. Stars denote the 4 selective entry schools, 3 of which have graduation rates above 90%. No non-selective traditional public has a graduation rate above 90%. Apart from City, Poly, and Western, schools with 4-year grad rates above 90% are contract schools like Barton Design, charters like Coppin and Green Street, or specialized programs like BSA. I used MPIA data to map the middle schools with 75th percentile scores at or above 700, represented here in purple. Concentric circles are charter or contract schools. Stars are schools with advanced academics and or ingenuity programs. These magnet programs are available only at a very small number of schools and are not equitably distributed. Honors programming also conveys GPA advantage, but such programming is not available at every middle, and even in schools where it is available, it may be limited to a single math or ELA class. Families understand that the choice process requires a high composite score for admission to competitive entry high schools, and that the top scoring students receive admission first. In the many schools that do not offer advanced academics, ingenuity, or have limited honors programming, many families feel they have no choice but to leave their catchment area and neighborhood and commit themselves to long commutes. And we know such commutes negatively affect students. In 2020, the COO told WYPR, quote, "Every additional 10-minute increase in commute time has a negative impact on our students that leads to absenteeism or them transferring to other schools just because they don't have a good route to school." In an equitable district where a student had access to middle programming that was likely to boost their composite score, this process might not be so fraught, but here it is, because the differences between and amongst our high schools are so stark. Graduation rates swing wildly from just over half at Reginald F. Lewis to more than 98% at City. And those stark differences are visible in middle school. Is this board comfortable with policies that so clearly set some and only some students up for college and career based on their performance in 4th and 7th grades? In closing, I again urge this board to look at choice, zoning, and equity policies together and ask if they are working in concert to serve all young people or just those young people with the good fortune to reside in certain catchments or the wherewithal to travel to one. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Leanne Brown Montgomery. Agenda topic is Brave Experience, and this will be an email that's read. This year has been very pleasant for my children. I was a bit hesitant about the merger between the staff. However, the staff has taken the challenges in strides by observing and listening to feedback. I have children in grades 5, 6, 7, and 10, in which I have had the pleasure to speak with a ton of staff. I can see they use community events to ensure the students have a true sense of community. Even though we are learning virtually, the school provides many workshops to keep the parents engaged and supported. The communication has been great for me this year. And our next public comment is from Taylor Frailing Taylor, Western High School student. Agenda topic, ASCBC auctions. Is she back again? Or does Sherry cover that? Okay.
You covered that particular
Yeah,
topic, but
that's interesting. It's short. Okay. Our next public comment is Sherry Brown. Agenda topic, PSRP letters to CEO commenting live in person.
I'm gonna have you push this until it goes green. There it goes. One more time. And actually, if you push one time. The response there.
Good evening, everyone. At this time, I would like to yield my time and postpone my comment at this time. I was hoping to have the CEO here in person. So I know she's virtual. Yeah, I need to. So at this
Would you
time.
like to rejoin us?
Okay.
the month?
Excuse me?
Would you like to rejoin us?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll see you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to it.
And that's our last public comment.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of the public comment that we received tonight. The board does take that under advisement. We take the comments very seriously as it's helpful for us and as we work with Dr. Santelises and her staff to understand opportunities to enhance both working conditions as well as academic opportunities for all of our young people. So thank you to everybody who came out tonight and who has written the board in the meantime and in between time of meetings. I do want to turn it over to Dr. Santelises for her remarks this evening before we actually vote on the consent agenda. Dr. Santelises is virtual, so I'd like to welcome her to our meeting to provide her opening comments.
Great. Thank you very much, Chair Sally. It's good to be with everyone. Virtually, again, want to thank Chief Perkins Cohen for being present in person and the rest of the board. Before I get started this evening, I would like to invite Chief Emily Nielsen for this evening's PEP agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises. Good evening, board commissioners. If you are going to be recognized on tonight's PEP, please stand up when I read your names so that we can congratulate you. From the Office of the Chief Academic Officer, appointments, recommended that Valise Afolabi, currently Academic Content Liaison Early Literacy, be appointed Educational Specialist 2 Literacy effective May 17th, 2025. Is she here? Recommended that Malika Bogan, currently School Success Liaison Special Education, be appointed Coordinator Special Education Strategy effective June 28th, 2025. From the Office of the Chief of Schools, recommended that Christopher Bethea, currently IEP Team Associate at Vanguard Collegiate Middle School, be appointed School Success Liaison Special Education effective June 28, 2025. Recommended that Kelly Curdio, currently Principal at Beachfield Elementary Middle, Be appointed manager, school operations support, effective July 12th, 2025. Recommended that China Crawford, currently literacy coach 10-month at Green Street Academy, be appointed assistant principal at Green Street Academy, effective August 9th, 2025. Recommended that Erica Gravette, currently principal resident at Violetville Elementary Middle, be appointed principal at Hilton Elementary, effective June 28th, 2025. Recommended that Edward Hastings, currently teacher special education at the William S. Bear School, be appointed school success liaison special education, effective May 31st, 2025. Recommended that Melody Locke, currently principal at Westport Academy Elementary Middle, be appointed school success liaison special education, effective June 28th, 2025. Recommended that Malcolm Rowe, currently principal resident at Curtis Bay Elementary Middle, be appointed principal at Dickey Hill. Recommended that Lachelle Taylor, currently coordinator 9th grade on track to graduate at Edmondson Westside High School, be appointed school success liaison special education, effective June 28th, 2025. And reassignments. Recommended that Zakiya Alvin, currently assistant principal at Connections, a community-based art school, be reassigned assistant principal at Green Street Academy, effective June 28th, 2025. And recommended that William Miller, currently assistant principal at Academy for College and Career Exploration, be reassigned assistant principal at Western High, effective June 28th, 2025. Congratulations to everyone on tonight's PEP agenda.
Thank you so much, Chief Nielsen, and congratulations again to everyone. I will point out two of our principal appointments this evening. First, Ms. Erica Gravette currently serves as a principal resident at Violetville Elementary Middle School, as you just heard. She's bringing over 2 decades of experience in education. Previously, she spent 5 years as an assistant principal at both Marie G. Faring and Leithwalk Elementary Middle Schools. She has experience as a math coach and a middle school math and science teacher in both Baltimore County and Prince George's County Public Schools. Principal Gravette holds a bachelor's degree in marketing and a master's degree in urban educational leadership from Morgan State University. Congratulations, Principal Gravette. And Malcolm Rowe is currently resident principal at Curtis Bay Elementary School, as we heard from Chief Nielsen. In his 11 years in city schools, he served as assistant principal, social studies department chair, and a middle and high school teacher. Principal Rowe holds a bachelor's degree in history education from Bowie State University and a master's degree in educational administration and supervision from Johns Hopkins University. He is also working toward earning a doctoral degree in urban educational leadership at Morgan State University. Again, congratulations to everyone this evening, and particularly our new school leaders. I would first, as I get into my remarks, I would first like to provide a brief update on our multilingual learner landscape analysis project update. Since January, City Schools has been undertaking a comprehensive multilingual landscape analysis to better understand how we can improve the services we provide to our many and growing multilingual families. With support from our partner, ACSI Translations, we have been reaching out to internal and external stakeholders across our districts. These stakeholders include staff, families, and community partners in order to gather meaningful feedback about language access and the overall experience of multilingual families in our schools. This is important work. We understand that many members of our community are excited to learn the results and recommended steps to better support multilingual families. At the June 10th board meeting, We will present the findings of the landscape analysis as the next step in providing equitable access and support to all members of our city schools community. We are taking longer than originally planned. And I just want the public and the board to know this is so that we can build the most complete picture of the needs and experiences of our multilingual families. To date, we've received more than 150 responses from a diverse group of voices. These insights are helping us pinpoint where we are doing well and where we must improve. Every voice matters in this work, and this additional time is needed for the analysis is very much time well spent. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to this effort so far. Your voice matters, and as we move forward in meeting the needs of our very diverse community, we look forward to sharing the results and, most importantly, making sure we have a path of action in response to the report. Next, tonight, the board will vote on the proposed city schools budget for fiscal year 26. I do think it's important to note for everyone that we faced a convergence of significant events in crafting next year's budget. We had the sunsetting of ESSER COVID recovery funds, threats to educational resources at the federal level, and state legislative proposals to reduce Blueprint funding, many of which did not, thankfully, take hold. But while we planned for the reduction in ESSER, the full extent of potential federal cuts is still unfolding. Through the thoughtful prior planning and hard work of our finance and grants team, we were able to deliver a budget that provides the resources to sustain the progress we have made while continuing to make strategic investments to expand critical services in the future. I also want to make note that we are able to do so without layoffs or severe cuts, unlike many districts across the country and the state. For fiscal year 26, City Schools is expecting to receive approximately a 7% increase in funding under the Blueprint for Maryland's Future as compared to fiscal year 25. Every school is receiving an increase in their per pupil funding for FY26 compared to FY25. Now, we are very pleased that the legislature did not exact cuts for fiscal year 26 that would have resulted in less funding for our students living in poverty for our multilingual learners. Now, although some of those cuts will remain in effect for future years, and so the board, our school district will need to remain vigilant. But I do want to thank our city delegation. I want to thank leadership in the state legislature from across the state for holding firm on the overwhelming majority of that Blueprint funding for now. We are now one of, and perhaps still, the only district in the state in full compliance with the Blueprint's requirements for how funds follow students to their school. As such, by design, all schools do not receive the same levels of funding. As in previous years, for our fiscal year 26, our higher needs schools receive larger year-over-year per pupil increases than our lower need schools. There were several variables impacting school budgets for fiscal year 26. First, much of our new revenue is being invested in our workforce. New agreements include substantial salary increases that make up a majority of that 7% increase I referenced earlier. Some school-based costs previously funded by COVID relief funds have now moved to school budgets. Again, we knew that ESSER dollars and support was coming to an end. We planned for it, but in many cases, that has meant moving those expenses to school budgets. The pandemic funds allowed us to relieve schools of these costs for a period in time, but we always knew that it was short term. For all of these reasons, budgets are tighter for some schools than they have been in recent years. Our comprehensive planning process is designed to help schools in developing their budgets. Schools were able, through their budget collaboratives, to request additional funding beyond their preliminary allocation to meet the specific needs of that school. And more than 40 schools received such supplemental funds for fiscal year 26. We have tried to emphasize that our attention this year needs to be on refocusing and sustaining rather than expanding our key investments. We believe that this budget meets that goal while also meeting our fiscal responsibilities. You will hear more this evening as staff present and walk through the additional detail, and we are prepared to answer questions from the board about this year's budget. And then finally, I want to remind everyone of our upcoming Day of Peace and Remembrance to be held here at the district office on Friday, May 23rd at 10 o'clock a.m. This is when we will honor the memories of students whose lives were cut short by violence over the past school year. I encourage every member of the City Schools family to join us on this solemn occasion as we mourn the loss of young people entrusted to our care and who are the gems of our community. Chair, this concludes my remarks for this evening, and I will turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santelises. We appreciate your comments and for you making them virtually this evening. We appreciate it. Returning now to our consent agenda, based upon both public comment or any additional information shared this evening, are there any items that board members would like to pull? Additional items? Hearing none, I'd like to return to item 6.02, which is the operator location and waiver request for Green Street Academy. This is a vote to approve that. Is there a motion to approve item 6.02?
Cheryl, hearing that no one's moving, can we have
Presentation? Yep, we can pull that for presentation. I'm going to give staff just a moment to kind of get that together to present tonight. For item number 12.05, for College Bound Foundation, like to invite staff up. I'm not sure who's the requisite staff for that.
Good evening, Chair and all the board members. My name is Eric Jefferson. I am the Executive Director of Secondary Success and Innovation. And thank you for this opportunity to share in the great work that we are and our partners with College Bound, our partners that are exclusive to Baltimore City Public School students. And if I'm not mistaken, the question on the floor was the effectiveness of College Bound and the work that they're doing with our students. This past year, they're in 21 of our schools, 5 of those being our elementary middle schools, to help us with the college and career going culture as we start even earlier now in our middle schools with the culture. This is part of also priority 2 in the board priorities. Their effectiveness, those students who are in the College Bound completion program, 73% of those students graduate within 4 years in attending college, which is beyond the national rate and also the state rate. The Maryland Public School College 6-year graduation rate is 71%. The national 6-year graduation rate of of students that are receiving Pell Grants is only 41%. So College Bound has a 73% four-year college graduation rate with the assistance of Pell Grant. They also serviced about 2,320 students last school year, which is up from 2,204 students from the previous year. And last year, total combined, so this is with College Bound, students applying for scholarships and all of those things, with the help of College Bound, those students received upwards of $97 million in scholarships to attend colleges and universities. So the effectiveness is there. They're a proven partner, and also they work exclusively with Baltimore City Public Schools.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the work that College Bound is doing, there is a significant amount of investment that we are making into this work. And they're a great partner of ours. And let me start with, I appreciate the work that you guys are doing because you're a cornerstone of where we want to get to. So with that said, I'm looking at the impact of the work when it comes to FAFSA applications. We are seeing nationally a significant decrease in students completing their FAFSA applications. Particularly in Baltimore, between the years of 2022 and 24, there has been a dip further than what we would like to see. With our students and our district and the amount of our eligibility rates should be high. However, our applications don't match. We're the students that we're sending and completing college applications. So I want to be able to hear, and we may not have this now because this is something that has to come from a partner. But in the future, it would be helpful for us to hear how College Bound is addressing this concern. They're doing a great job at ensuring that our students are applying to colleges, but we aren't matching that effort in making sure that our students are receiving what should be due to them through FAFSA applications. And I'll leave it there.
Yes, Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you. Mine is a little different from Commissioner Mohammed's. I love College Bound. It's my first job out of college. But I am interested in knowing, how does the organization maintain its support with middle schoolers? So let's say I'm at a school that College Bound supports as an elementary school student, but I moved to a high school that is not a College Bound school. So you started to work with me, but now I'm just kind of like hanging out there. How and you guys may not have this, but like, how are they staying with students, right? Like, what does that trajectory look like? You don't want to start a relationship with a young person, especially in middle school, and then you just kind of like drop it once they make it to ninth grade. So just interested in knowing how they stay afloat with that young person through the whole process from sixth grade to 12th grade.
We definitely can get back with you all and answer both of those questions, because I don't have those answers tonight.
And that's it. I appreciate it and looking forward to the responses.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve item 12.05 for College Bound Foundation?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Mohammed. Is there a second?
Second, Esposito.
Thank you. And I just want to remind the public, I am pulling this one for a vote. All in favor, Commissioner Ames Messenger? Oh, she stepped away. Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. All right, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
are you in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Mohammed?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Redding Lollinger.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
And I am abstaining from this vote. This motion passes with 8 in favor, 2 absent, and 1 abstention. I'll now go back to item number 6.02 for operator location waiver request for Green Street Academy. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Is this the Office of New Initiatives? Seven in favor? I just want to correct the roll count. So it's 7 in favor, 2 absences, right? And 1 abstention? 3 absences, right? Yep. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. 3 absent, 7 in favor, and 1 abstention for the last item. Thank you for the correction. Let's welcome Angela Alvarez from the Office of New Initiatives.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Angela Alvarez. I'm the Senior Executive Director for the Office of New Initiatives. Do you want me to just go through the presentation, or do you want me?
I think there was a request to have a presentation.
So this is aligned to Board Priority 5, providing equal access to district services, resources, and facilities to ensure success of students, staff, and the surrounding community. This request comes from Green Street Academy. And so we're here for a vote. This is a waiver request specifically related to creating a geographic attendance area. For any waiver requests, we look at a variety of factors. There's multiple opportunities folks have to submit the requests. Some of the key considerations are understanding the rationale for the change and how it meets the school need, evidence of demand or support for the change, how stakeholders were engaged, quality of school programming, and then the capacity to implement the requested waiver. This is a waiver for what is called a geographic attendance area request. So Maryland law changed in 2015 to allow for the establishment of geographic attendance areas, provided they meet the following conditions. They're the median income of that geographic area must be equal to or below that of the county or district. The preference is capped at a max of 35%. And it requires that the district and the school take reasonable steps if a GAA is established to maintain that ratio within a school. If the ratio is not exceeded or the school does not fill to 100% of the seats, they may admit more students from that geographic attendance area. And then it's solely the decision of the LEA or our board in this case to approve or deny. It's not something that's appealable to the state beyond the decision it's made here. So Green Street Academy is requesting a geographic attendance area specifically for 6th grade admissions to reserve 35% of seats for the following zones that you can see represented by the yellow hatch marks on the map that's on the right of this image. And it's for the Mary E. Rodman, Hilton, Marianne Winterling, and Belmont zones. If approved as part of the lottery, that would reserve approximately 443 seats out of 125 seats. There's 2 things we have to keep in mind is the admission at 6th grade, and then what that means over time in terms of the total population or total enrollment of the school, because it's a compounding thing. It's not it's only this handful of kids each year. And so we, looked at the factors. Part of their rationale is around trying to give additional preference to students who live in zones that are either closer to them or where they have like direct relationships. Chronic absence is an issue that we're all addressing across the city. And so this has been an area of concern for them. When they were up for renewal, that was an area of growth. They were rated as developing in that area. The requested areas meet the legal requirements around the median income, with the exception of Hilton. Hilton is above, so that would not be allowable to be approved based on the state law. the demand for the school has been less than it was in past, so they're not filling all their seats. So they had 125 seats that they offered. We're still in the application process. They've had, at the point that we created this presentation, 86 people have confirmed, and the confirmation deadline for the lottery part of the process was the end of April. So we're into May.
Just a quick clarifying question. When you talk about the different geographic areas and the income levels, is the calculation made on a sub-level basis or as the whole, the geographic area as a whole?
It can be on the geographic area as a whole, but what they're requesting is non-contiguous. So we had to look at like Hilton in particular separately. But if they were contiguous, it would change the way that looks, but it's not.
And so and maybe one follow-up here, the recommendation, then this is their request, and what is in front of the board to approve is their request, or do we need,
You're gonna see a modified recommendation that comes from Marv Adding with, different offices and our charter and operator-led schools advisory board. Green Tree, the quality school, it got a 5-year full renewal in the last review. Which means for members of the public that they're mostly effective or highly effective in the areas we consider in the renewal process. And they have the capacity to implement, they have an admissions team, and so they can implement complex roles. Their stakeholder, we had originally postponed this was originally requested in the fall cycle. There wasn't a lot of engagement, so we pushed them to do more engagement. It's still kind of limited engagement's a typical thing. They did do 2 surveys, and they collected letters of support. And 2 of the school leaders who would be impacted by this were some of the people that submitted support. So the school leader of Belmont and Hilton provided letters of support, and some of the community associations that would be impacted also provided. Carroll Improvement Association and the Allendon Community Association provided letter of support, and then Green Street's PTO leadership also provided a letter of support for the application. But the survey itself was limited. There was only 30 respondents. Most of the people that responded supported the request. They also, at the advice of the advisory board, conducted a survey to really look at transportation, like if the goal is around chronic absence, would including these zones limit the distance traveled by students. They did an informal survey where 21 students responded. We also just looked at travel routes for students. So that's what you see in the bottom of the table. And for the majority of these zones, with the exception of Hilton, it does reduce the travel time it's just one, bus ride for students, and some of them are actually walkable for students. Yep. No, it's okay. Okay, sounds good.
We cannot hear.
What is before us is a request for this school to hold 35% of the seats for 6th grade for the children in the surrounding area, the surrounding neighborhoods.
Yes, it would give.
Very rudimentary, I know, but I'm
Yes,
just trying to make.
it would give additional preference. It doesn't guarantee, but it would give it would reserve 35% for a preference for the families that live in the zones that they're proposing.
To that,
Yes.
okay. I just want to make sure that we're not speaking in jargon or make
Yep.
it accessible to community to understand what the implications are.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, and that's really important. So thank you. The other thing that we looked at, so we're trying to understand implications, and so we wanted to understand for students who attend sixth grade, where are the top 5 zones currently where students come from? And so you see those schools there: Mary E. Rodman, Mary Ann Winterling, Glens Falls, Belmont, and Wildwood. So we wanted to understand like who is Green Street drawing from, and then 2, what the implications for that. So some of the zones that are covered, those with the highlighted yellow, are zones that already have a designated feeder school for middle, which is Katherine Johnson Global Academy. Katherine Johnson is a 21st century school. So, and I'm going to explain more why that's important in another slide, but we wanted to highlight that. And so you see the top 5 zones that have where students come from that attend Green Street from this current year and the year prior. And then we also looked at like where do people who apply to the school come from in their zones. So you see that on the right: Mary E. Rodman, Glens Falls, Wildwood, KIPP, Harmony, and Mary Ann Winterling. Coming back to Katherine Johnson, this is a school that's is a facility that was renovated under the 21st Century Buildings Plan. It has a 78% utilization. The reason why this is important to note is that in exchange for getting the funding to be able to renovate those schools, we make commitments as a district we would reach a certain utilization. And the utilization of these schools collectively as a district, but also the utilization of these schools are scrutinized when we go before the IAC to request capital improvement funds. Unlike neighboring districts that have a higher tax base, we're reliant on state funding for capital improvement funds. And so when our newer facilities are dropping below that ideal utilization, there's additional scrutiny that can jeopardize getting approval for additional projects that we need. And the capital improvement funds cover everything from like new school construction to like replacing aging roofs and windows and everything in between. So these are kind of vital funds. So understanding the implications on this request on Katherine Johnson is another important consideration we have to balance in figuring out what we do. And also understanding the current impact the school's already having on the zone, right? Does this create a new challenge, or is this in line with what's already happening? And so what we are recommending is that the board approve a modified request, capping it at 20% of the seats for the requested zones, except for Hilton, because it doesn't meet the legal requirements. And that we monitor the impact on Katherine Johnson so that this doesn't create problems in the future, and could come back to modify it if it did. Modify or eliminate if it created a significant problem.
Commissioner Mohammed. And then Commissioner.
Sure, just wanted to make sure you were finished.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I think you really nailed my concern, and that was with the impact that the school will have on Katherine Johnson. Since we had made a level of commitment to them, both in the structure and the commitment we've made around students. If we were to agree with the recommendation that you're offering, what would we see? What would you suggest impact? And have we actually studied the impact that it will have on Katherine Johnson's enrollment? Can you speak to us about that?
Yep, I'm gonna go back. So 20% would be if, they maintain accepting 125 kids at sixth grade would be about 25 seats. And so currently they are getting more than 25 seats from the 3 zones. So right now, 19 and 12 is 21 plus 7, 28 kids. So it's kind of more consistent with the impact. It doesn't add a new impact or worsen what they're having. And so that was part of our thinking of it helps it still does the thing what they're trying to do of giving students who live near the school a little extra advantage and opportunity to be able to get into the school without kind of worsening the enrollment at Catherine Johnson.
We have room for any contingency if we accept the waiver and we don't see that the number of students enrollment has increased, and or the work around attendance absenteeism remains the same. Do we have the ability to take the waiver away because it's not working enough?
Yeah, I mean, the waiver, this particular waiver is at the discretion of the board. Part of what we put in the request is a requirement that we monitor it. So you could add those as, when you vote, as additional considerations around sustaining it. Operators are also able to make additional requests in the future if things could change, context change. We could have a future, right now we're in a period of time where birth rates are down and enrollment has been declining, but that doesn't mean we're always going to be in that situation. It could flip, and so they could request it at any point in the future also. So there's still space.
Taking into consideration that Green Street goes from 6 to 12 and Catherine Johnson goes only to 8th grade, and that there is some security in for those families that live in the neighborhood, right? I could say my kid went to 204 from pre-K to 5th, and now he can, or she can walk to Green Street and be there from 6 to 12. Like, I think that we have to take that into consideration, right? Like, some families are a little more comfortable to know that their child is in this one place they can always kind of get connected to because they may live in South or they may live on Carver, and that's easy walking for both places. I hear you with Catherine Johnson, I guess that's the old Calverton, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's West Baltimore.
Yes.
But so I'm just thinking about that concern, like it might be, I get it, but I think that it'll be a tricky game to play when you're thinking about families who are thinking about kids traveling, right? That's if a family lives on Wildwood Parkway and gets accepted to Catherine Johnson, right? That's a new thing. That's a bus ride that I now have to take down Emerson Avenue to get to this school when I could easily walk to Green Street.
Yeah.
This is something I just think about.
As a citywide charter school, there isn't a guarantee that because you live there, you'll be able to go there, right? So it's still a lottery, even if you approve the geographic attendance area, even at what they requested, it doesn't guarantee the neighborhood, right, or certain neighborhoods access. It puts them in an advantage. It guarantees that a certain percentage of students as a group would have space, but doesn't guarantee because I live here, I have space, if that makes sense, because it's still a lottery. So you still be in a situation where likely you'll have more than 25 people from those neighborhoods apply for those seats. So it's going to be lotteried off who gets those seats. No, I agree. And part of their rationale was around trying to attract more families. So I absolutely agree. A geographic attendance area may help.
I have just like the time. What time pressure are we under to approve this waiver? What's indicative of this tonight?
This would, if you approved it, it would go into effect for next school year. And so schools can start accepting applications at the beginning of the school year. This year, I think it's August 25th. I feel like you guys know the date better than me, but I think that's right.
Are we under pressure to approve this waiver tonight? I guess is my more direct question.
No, but we have postponed it. It originally, remember, came to us in the fall. and we shared it for information in the fall. So we've extended it a lot.
Yes, thank you. How would you characterize Green Street Academy's academic performance relative to its poverty group, to their 3-star school?
It's a good question. I think they have to be doing well. Like I haven't I looked at that they were a 5-year school and they had effective and highly effective. So that to me indicates that they have to be, because how we look at MCAT performance is in comparison to the poverty group. So that's an indication to me. I would have to go back and look at it more carefully to say 100%, but I think they're doing pretty well. And they're a good operator. They bring a lot of different opportunities to students, and have expanded like in the CTE space and also added, and which I think is attractive for families. They've added like a middle school kind of pre-CTE, similar to what Pimlico is doing around the medical sciences. They're in the huge renovation process right now of adding outdoor spaces in partnership with the rec center for athletics, to increase their athletics. So they've been a really good partner. I think they're a good option for families.
Oh, yeah. So I noticed that the survey responses were really low. And I guess I'm curious, like, what the breakdown is of the parents and community members and which communities those respondents were from. Because I noticed that Violetville Elementary Middle School, or somebody from Violetville Elementary Middle School, was one of the stakeholders that provided a letter of support. And just in the Southwest in general, for context, like, that's something that we've been trying to get a handle on, is like neighborhoods not offering letters of support in other neighborhoods and giving influence, or not allowing the folks that are in closer proximity or like personally affected. Because I don't see Violetville mentioned here in any parts. So I don't know what the rationale is of having surrounding communities weigh in on.
They did get a letter of support from Violetville and a couple of their communities. Because those were not the impacted zones, we didn't include that in this summary that's in the PowerPoint, but they absolutely did get some support from Violetville and Wildwood Elementary. But I didn't want to be confusing about the zones because those 2 zones were not impacted. That's why we didn't include it in this summary of the analysis, but they did get a letter of support from those 2. In terms of the survey, I'm not sure why part of the reason why we pushed it was to give them a bit more time to get more, responses. But I think that, schools are busy and I can't say why it was a low response rate. Still, I think what they're asking is reasonable. And I think for us, I think the modification makes sense. It balances competing interests.
So I wanted to pull this for the sake of transparency. I think that it's important that we have these conversations publicly when we're talking about making changes to our schools. I'm actually in support of the recommendation. However, I always want to highlight that with this recommendation comes a level of accountability on us, that we have to be aware that there is a potential impact when a nearby school. And we have to assure that that nearby school, being Catherine Johnson, that we're giving just as much effort and time to assure that we meet our commitment to them, while assuring that we give Green Street the opportunity, and really our district the opportunity, to see, hey, if we make this school more available to the people who are in walking distance, does it help our absenteeism? And that's a real important question. And this gives us the opportunity to delve into that. So I am in recommendation of this. I would urge my fellow commissioners to support this recommendation And thank you for the opportunity for the presentation and answering the questions.
Any additional comments, questions from members this evening? Hearing none. Commissioner Coyle? No. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve item 6.02?
So moved, Esposito.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito. Is there a second?
Second, Mohammed.
Thank you. All in favor, Commissioner Ames Messenger?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Mohammed?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Redding Lollinger?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Rook. I'm sorry, pardon me, Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
Thank you, and I'm in favor. This motion passes. Commissioner Mohammed, I just want to double check, were there any other items beyond just the budget that we need to pull tonight?
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. We really appreciate your time this evening. Was there another item that you had pulled?
No, I think you had enough of me.
We appreciate your contributions, Commissioner Mohammed. It really helps us to all think about these really important issues, and especially when it comes to our portfolio, recognizing that these are the schools that we want to make sure all of our schools, our children have an opportunity to have access and have a great education. So thank you for helping us think through these issues tonight. For the remainder consent agenda, minus item 6.03, we are pulling that for a presentation and vote. And based, excuse me, is there a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda? So this is items 4.02, 6.01, 12.01, 12.02, 12.03, 12.04, 12.06, 12.07, 12.08, 12.09, 12.10, and 12.11. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you. Second?
Ames Messenger second.
I'll take Commissioner Ames Messenger on the second. All in favor, Commissioner Ames Messenger?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Coy.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Mohammed.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Redding Lollinger.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
And I'm in favor. This motion passes. Turning now to item 6.01, I'd like to invite Chief Doherty and his staff up for a presentation on the FY26 budget.
Thank you, Chair Sally. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Chris Doherty. I'm the CFO. I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Joan Dabrowski, the Chief Academic Officer. We may also be joined remotely by Chief of Schools Stacy Place-Tosay and possibly OCEE Chief Tina Hike-Hubbard. As mentioned, we are here to talk about the FY26 proposed operating budget. And just a quick word of reminder, by operating budget, we mean what you think we mean, and also not the capital budget. The capital budget for this group, some key reports are coming down the pike for this group on the capital side of things, including the Comprehensive Educational Facility Master Plan, shorthanded to the CEFMP. That's going to the Ops Committee on May 20th and then to the full board on May 27th. Another big chunk of the capital budget is what used to be called the CIP, the Capital Improvement Plan. It's now kind of being called more the Capital Projects Review. That is also coming to this board's Operations Committee on 5/20. Then it is coming again to the Operations Committee in September and then to the full board at the end of September. So that's in addition to the 21st Century Report and the Comprehensive Maintenance Plan, all extremely important. But this discussion tonight is a follow-up of our FY26 proposed operating budget. And it was a quick look at the schedule. It was 5 weeks ago tonight that we that we gave the initial presentation. And shortly after that, the draft budget book was provided to the board. There was a period of reading it, reflecting it, having various meetings, with tonight being scheduled for the vote is what's scheduled. This presentation tonight should be considered a companion to, but not at all an identical repeat of what was presented on April 8th. We will hit the main themes tonight. It's also a companion to the opening remarks that Dr. Sanalisis gave, but based on both formal and informal feedback we've gotten over the last several weeks, we're going to try to bring out a few key items taken together with what you've previously received. Also, a rather quick word about some of the events that we've all been following and reacting to. Since the April 8th initial budget presentation, we've had some developments in part of our activities regarding federal actions. As the board remembers well, on March 28th, there was an unexpected rescission of ESSER funding having to do with the reversal on the late liquidation allowances. That led to staff and leadership contemplating a potential downside risk of up to $48 million. We, with 15 other states, the state of Maryland filed suit. And since we last met on the budget topic, first on May 6th, a U.S. court granted a preliminary injunction on that suit. That was quite recently. And then on May 12th, we got word from the Maryland State Department of Education that we should in fact submit all remaining unreimbursed costs having to do with the ESSER rescinded funds. So they gave us a 1-day deadline to submit those unreimbursed costs. And we were delighted to meet that 1-day deadline because those were the costs that gave us the exposure of our having paid various vendors, but not having been reimbursed by the state, who in turn had not been reimbursed by the federal department. So as just a quick update on that, that's where we stand. It was just yesterday that we got that guidance from the state of Maryland. So we're hoping that comes to a positive resolution. At the same time, there's more than the average amount of uncertainty coming from the federal level. And also, as we know, our state General Assembly had some backs and forths about possible cuts, some of which are staying in place for the out years, although they ultimately didn't fall into the FY26 budget. So there's a lot of uncertainty in this budget. One last thing on this slide is that the state of Maryland has put in a economic hardship trigger. Sometimes it's been called the $1 billion trigger. It's the same trigger. And what they've done is, given the considerable uncertainty at the federal level, they've acknowledged that by saying that if certain actions happen at the federal level that lead to a net impact of $1 billion or more, they reserve the right to open up their budget. And what they definitely will do is call for a report from the Department of Budget and Management. With the state of Maryland being our 72%, give or take, funder for our operating budget, if they have a trigger warning, we should basically feel like we have a de facto trigger warning as well, which is why we bring it up to the board. All that, both back on April 8th and other manifestations, the budget book itself, all that culminates into our being quite proud to present this budget to the board for review and consideration. As the CEO mentioned, and for those sharp-eyed people, this says a 6% increase in blueprint funding. The CEO correctly referred to 7% increased funding. Here's the difference. The difference is that $22 million that was added back on the last night of the General Assembly. We still don't have this in these numbers because we still don't have the formal state aid file from the state of Maryland. It's not terribly uncommon not to have it, but we think that the 22 million is the correct number. Until we get the final document, we're not sure where exactly they might place things, and we don't want to put a document in front of the board or in the budget book that's incorrect. So once that 22 million is added, that's about 1.4% of our budget. The 6% in this slide becomes 7%. Now, the 6%, 6 to 7% increase that we talked about, and we did talk about this on April 8th, and there have been plenty of conversations about it separately, and that's why we're re-stressing it here as a key theme. Yes, the math does show a 7% increase. Not all schools are feeling 7% increase-y in their buildings, and they're not feeling that way for a variety, three key reasons, very real reasons, and generally in descending order on this slide. First, the blueprint by its very nature treats different schools with different populations of kids quite differently. That is to say, a 500 student school of certain characteristics can have a significantly higher or lower budget than another school with 500 children. So the blueprint design, by design, results in average per pupil funding at our schools that range almost to X to 3X. So if one doesn't know the actual reality at the school level, it's not very easy to make generalizations. That's a very big deal as far as the actual reality at the school level. Another factor is our successful transition from ESSER. It wasn't utterly painless. That is to say, we took the highest value and the most effective portions of ESSER, a small percentage of the overall activities, and more than half of the ESSER money was spent on health and safety, of course, as COVID relief. But there are still activities that were paid for by ESSER that are now being paid for at the school level. So a school might see a mathematical increase in budget, but some of that money is going things that until recently were paid for centrally with ESSER funds. They definitely feel that. And also, position costs and other input costs have gone up by about 6% or more, depending on the makeup of one's building. So the increased position costs and increased utilities and other costs, quite easily take that 7% increase and make it feel like not an increase. For those reasons, that's why what we have, and we're proud of it, is more of a stay the course year, given the modest increase in funding and the other things that we are dealing with. Skip this one and go to this one. So that is what makes up our highest level funding look of our general fund. It's 1.87, or our FY26 revenue is 1.87 billion total, made up of the $1.5 billion most flexible funds that we just discussed in the general fund. Our special fund is the CPG funding, the title funding, and some others. And the 71 million is our enterprise fund, also sometimes called the Food and Nutrition Fund, which feeds our entire district approximately 11 or 12 million meals a year as a CEP district where no student pays for lunch. The last slide, before we get into more of the context and the more of the activities, is another high-level view of what is in front of you for consideration and vote, a year-by-year comparison that shows the 6% increase, less the 22 million that we're confident will be added when we get this final state aid. The 1.077 billion from Maryland represents 72% of our funding. There was an increase in the city of Baltimore's contribution that is an exact mirror of our increase in student population. The math there of 3 million over 389 is 0.77% increase because it's pegged to the number of children in our schools at that time. The other sources is kind of a mixed bag of various things, and it equates to 2.2%. Lastly, the funded enrollment of 79 and 70.9 to 71. That excludes pre-K. So for those of you appropriately looking at that and saying, oh, it's good that there's an uptick, but why is it 71? Those numbers exclude pre-K for funding reasons and also some other categories. The good news here is that our student population has increased 0.77%. And that's a good sign in general, and it's also a good sign for continued financial health. Now, with that as the relatively quick companion numbers overview to the April 8th, I turn it to Dr. Dabrowski for a dive into academics.
Thank you so much, Chief Doherty. Good evening, commissioners and the public. I'm Joan Dabrowski, Chief Academic Officer. And again, I'm here tonight to just go through a few of the key highlights that are represented as part of our key strategies for academics and as they show up in the fiscal 26 budget. So if we look here around our key priorities of math and literacy, you'll see that we continue our strategy that has been in place for the past 8 years around investing in high quality instructional materials as a core of what we do to ensure our students have opportunities to access high quality instruction. You'll see here the amount for mathematics may seem low at showing $750,000, but I want to remind the board and the public that last year, using some of our one-time opportunities with our ESSER dollars, we invested nearly $5 million in mathematics materials, both for our elementary all the way up through our algebra and advanced courses. That investment continues to be paying off as we will have those materials. So the investments now you'll see shifting into instructional coaching, which is further down on this slide. A key strategy for us is that we have high quality materials, but that in of itself is not enough. Our teachers need the supports and the strategic coaching in their schools to use those materials well and to be pacing and working closely with a coach to lesson plan and do that important work. So you'll see our coaching in our literacy continues to be high, and you'll see a $7.8 million investment for math coaching. Last year, we spent about $4 million. So we're nearly doubling our investment in math coaching as part of our ongoing strategic work for math improvement. So wanted to lift that up in addition to what I shared 5 weeks ago. If we go on to the next slide where we talk about well-rounded education, here I just want to lift up again that as part of our strategic work with the sunsetting of ESSER, we needed to look very closely at where we would continue programming, where would we maintain it, where might we increase, and where might we need to decrease. As Chief Doherty said, in many places, we've been able to stay the course, but in some areas, particularly here in summer programming, we had to make strategic reductions. We had to go through and look closely at our data. What I can say is that City Schools has done and continues to do a remarkable job monitoring all of our federal dollars that come in through very rigorous progress monitoring processes that, again, allowed us to see things such as the impact on student learning, how things were going in terms of students showing up for these programs, our attendance, certainly wanting to make sure that we were aligning our summer strategy with things coming to us from the state and literacy and mathematics policies, and making sure that we could still offer up a rich set of enrichment opportunities. So I want to, again, just affirm our strategies in making reductions in this budget season, while also, though, lifting up that we also maintain. So again, on this slide, I just want to lift up our commitment, ongoing commitment to support arts instruction in city schools. Again, we have a strategic plan in fine arts. We have goals there that we monitor and bring forward to the board annually. And as part of that commitment, we certainly have requirements from COMAR that we align to, but in addition, we're holding to that $100 per student fund so that we can ensure that our students have opportunities to engage with fine arts experiences. I'm happy to report that we have continued our increase of the number of certified fine arts teachers over the last 7 to 8 years. Currently, we have 347 certified, which is up 30 teachers from where we were last year year at this time. And we're projecting to have 371 positions again. So in a time where there's had to be decreases, it's not reductions across the board. We are strategic in how we make these decisions, knowing that there are places that we have made commitments as a community and that we want to maintain those commitments even in this uncertain financial time. If we go to the next slide. Just lifting up again our ongoing commitment for secondary success and innovation. Again, we have a very robust CTE, CCR strategic plan that helps keep us on track and measuring our work in terms of graduation, in terms of ensuring that our young people have opportunities to experience college course opportunities in high school through our dual enrollment work. There's been increased work in the CTE space as the state has made very clear the importance of work-based learning opportunities, apprenticeships. We are tracking those things and having very clear metrics around how we're ensuring more kids can have an opportunity to get an apprenticeship, to get an opportunity to sit for an industry-recognized credential exam so that they come out of school with that CCR endorsement that the state is lifting up. So again, just wanted to lift up those supports remain as part of our priorities. On the next slide, I think I'm just mindful, maybe I'll run through a couple more of academics before Chief Tosay joins. I want to make sure I talk through.
And I'm here whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Tosay. I want to just quickly talk about multilingual learners. That's an important space for us. And I think as Dr. Santelises shared this evening in her remarks, there are multiple streams of this work when we think about our multilingual community. There's the space around the language access and the important landscape analysis that is underway right now. And that body of work has really been important for us to think about some of the way we do business with our community. We think about things like our enrollment process, how we work with translation interpretation services, certainly around our family engagement activities. And while that work continues to grow, we also want to lift up the supports for our multilingual learners. We have been driven by a strategic plan for multilingual learners for the last 5 years. And again, that has yielded more teachers out supporting our multilingual learners. It has yielded more support centrally so that we can deploy support so that all teachers see themselves as supporting English language development. So again, the supports that we see in these areas represent an important part of the work, but not the full picture. And again, Chief High Hubbard is here if there are more questions about that. And I think at this point, I will be tossing over to Chief Stacey Place Tosay.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and members of the public. My name is Dr. Stacey Place Tosay, and I'm a chief of schools. So we believe that when schools invest in both students and academic needs and their personal interests, their engagement increases and connections deepen and outcomes improve. So this belief drives our work in the areas that are going to be highlighted on the next few slides. And these are highlighting our district level investments, and there are that some schools are making as well. So what you see on this slide is how we're re-engaging students and creating strong, purposeful connections to schools. So whether that's athletics, our transition supports, or re-entry programs, our goal is to help every student feel that school is a place where they belong. And we're doing that by reconnecting and re-engaging our students. And as you can see, we are doing that through our re-engagement center where we're recovering and supporting students who've been disconnected. We're proposing to fund evening school to provide flexible graduation pathways. And we're also deploying our transition ambassadors to support students returning from long absences. So we have a $3.4 million investment in our re-engagement center. And also you can see that we have some funds where we're engaging and investing in our evening schools. Their transition support is also embedded in this whole child and engagement strategy. Now, athletics also provide more than just competition. It gives students a team, a coach, and a reason to stay connected. So we're expanding our middle school athletics to promote early engagement, leadership, and pride among our students. We're sustaining our high school athletics program to support connection and persistence. And we're also making sure that we ensure athletic trainers and safe program are available and in our schools. So you can see our $1.2 million investment in middle school athletics, 2.9 in high school athletics, and 2.2 million in our athletic trainers. Thank you. So we know that students thrive when schools are emotionally safe, joyful, and responsive. And this slide highlights how we're investing in the adults, the relationships, and the systems that build strong school cultures and improve daily student experiences. So our aim is to create schools where, again, students feel safe, they feel supported, and they feel seen. So we're doing this by placing 58 wholeness specialists in schools to lead our school culture work. We're funding our violence prevention and trauma-informed supports through community partners. And we also have contracts with organizations and partners for mentoring, home visits, and home monitoring. We're continuing to invest in our school police team to maintain safety while building positive relationships with young people in our school communities. So we're investing in our wholeness specialists, centralized supports. We do have $7.3 million where principals are having contracts for mentoring and home monitoring. We're continuing to invest in our school police and violence prevention partnerships. And then we have an investment in our community events and family engagement that go hand in hand with this initiatives that we're doing. Now, we also know that it's important for school students to be in schools every single day. And we're improving attendance through tiered supports by increasing our daily attendance and decreasing our chronic absenteeism. And we're doing this with a three-pronged approach, which is direct school support, where we have 96 intensive schools receiving coaching, case management, and data reviews. We have our family engagement and outreach, where we're conducting home visits, calls, letters to families, and we're coordinating with like our truancy court and our wholeness teams and our transition ambassadors. And then our third strategy is citywide messaging and awareness. So we have our citywide media campaign to emphasize that attendance equals opportunity. So you can see where we're making our investments here. So everything we discuss, attendance, engagement, climate, rest on one foundation, and that's student wellness. So this slide shows our deep investments in mental health and wraparound supports, ensuring that basic needs for our students are met. Earlier, Dr. Santelises talked about all of our schools having access to a social worker or a psychologist. We're expanded our expanded behavioral health partnerships for faster and broader care. And we're providing specialized support for our unhoused students. We're maintaining our universal nutrition access, so because we know that no one can learn if they're hungry. And we're committed to creating the conditions where every student feels safe, supported, and inspired to succeed. So through aligned strategies across attendance, wellness, engagement in our other offices, we're not just addressing the challenges, we're building a system of support that helps students thrive every day. And this work, again, reflects our shared responsibility to meet students where they are and move them forward. And like I said earlier, these are district level investments, and we know in some cases schools are making investments to ensure that students feel seen, valued, and connected as well.
And I think we envisioned having more time or as much time as the commissioners desire for questions. So we know we covered a good amount of material, intentionally trying to go a bit quickly because of the previous discussion, and so that there would be ample time for questions.
So much presentation. Open it up to my board colleagues. Initial sets of questions. Commissioner Redding Wallinger.
Right, thank you all. Chief Dabrowski, I would love to start with you and specifically pick up where you sort of left off with instructional coaching and tutoring, because it represents such a big investment in, in terms of strategy and the dollars that we're investing. And I just wanted to understand a few more things about it as we move towards approving the budget. So I'd love to start with literacy coaching. We've got $24.5 million towards literacy coaching in this upcoming year. Can you tell me about how many coaches that represents?
Yes, so last year we began the directive in our budget guidance that every school would budget for a coach. So again, if we're looking at, I think we got about 120 to 130. I can check human capital numbers to be sure, but nearly all schools invested in either a full release coach, meaning that the coach had time fully out of the classroom. In some cases, there were schools that had to have maybe a partial release. So maybe they were teaching 1 or 2 parts of the day, but had a bulk of time opening. And what this means is that we have a dedicated literacy expert who comes out of the classroom to support their peers around using our high quality materials. So they meet regularly with those teachers, either in weekly classroom planning opportunities, common planning time. They may go in and watch teachers teach and be able to give them instructional guidance and support. They're not a supervisor, so they're really there as a support, which is really critical as we're helping. We've got over 30% of our teachers, or over nearly 40% of our teachers, are early career teachers. So this idea of having an expert in the building alongside is really powerful. We provide district-wide training for these coaches. They come out for monthly training and they get a 2-week summer institute. So we are developing that capacity. It's anchored in science of reading, which again is a national, certainly something we're at the state around sort of best practices for literacy instruction. And so that level of capacity building that we have is an investment that we then dug into for this year. So again, in our budget guidance, every school has been asked to budget for that. So that dollar amount represents every school holding for a full-time FTE for that. Yeah.
Speaking of supervision, who is their supervisor?
So they are supervised by their building principals. So part of what we've done in this model is we have we know that those colleagues live in schools. And so there is a supervisory space that the principal has. And there's also, though, the district-wide commitment to support development. So there is certainly a partnership there and a real opportunity for collaborations to ensure that when we're hiring, there is a centralized process. So candidates are screened so that when schools are hiring, they know that they've gone through centralized screening that says they are ready to be considered as an instructional coach.
Great. And then, so how effective, what happens specifically for coaches? And am I right to assume then, since principals are their supervisors, the principals are actually evaluating them, and then are they comparing data across the district to sort of understand how their particular coach is performing relative?
So I think when we think about measuring impact, we are looking regularly at student data. And so we also know that as we come together for our beginning of the year, middle of the year, we look across and have visibility on CLNs, and we have visibility on individual schools. We see where there's been growth that's very positive. We see where there's been sort of flat, and we are able to dig into that data with conversations with our school leaders. We also now this year have been working with what we call our coaching dashboard. So we've asked our coaches to start to log how many teachers they're visiting, what kinds of conversations and follow-up. And so we can see in our data where if we see that there is not movement in student achievement data, because we're looking at that quite regularly, we can also now look and seeing like, well, how's your coach doing? Let's pull up the coaching dashboard and see how many classrooms are they getting into? How many coaching sessions are they in? And so all of that visibility really gets into that accountability space. So it is multiple pieces that we look at to measure that. And certainly that principal having that supervisory space is going to be absolutely these data points fueling to that evaluation space.
Okay. That's really helpful. I mean, I think part of the reason I'm kind of sort of harping on accountability here is because we're investing this amount of money in, these are folks who are coming out of the classroom full time. As far as I'm concerned, the teacher is the most valuable asset that we have in the district, and we're investing this in folks coming out full time. What does it look like for us to be able to say this is actually working? This is
That's
going
right.
really well. What about feedback from teachers who are being coached? How is that being collected, and how does that inform, accountability and supervision and even development of these coaches?
Yep. So I think, again, part of our commitment to our coaches is giving them regular times for development. And part of that is learning how to be in that space of someone who's a coach, but is not a supervisor. It's a very important sort of nuanced role that a leader has in a school when you're a coach. I think part of what we do is we do opportunities for them to watch and videotape each other so that they can learn and they can understand best practices for how to coach teachers. And there certainly are opportunities for there to be surveys and feedback to see how they're being received and sort of their growth and development. And again, I think the space where we have leaned into is working closely with our central model called our school success liaisons. They are also developing relationships with their networks coach. So if you think about that SSL who's assigned to a group of 12, they can bring those coaches together to hear about how things are going. And they're out in the schools and they're hearing where things are going well. And they're also hearing where things may not be going well. And I think it's some of that sort of community building, anecdotal, collaborative piece. We want to be careful that this doesn't turn into another level of supervisory evaluation, because that's not the spirit of an instructional coach. At the same time, I think we've put in some really important transparency and accountability levers here with our dashboards, with our expectations around coming for monthly training to ensure that we're getting at a level of integrity for how we're expecting coaches to sort of serve in schools.
Great. Are there opportunities for the board to, not here, not now, maybe teaching and learning committee, to get some insight into the coaching dashboard, into some of the outcomes, perhaps some of the variability across what we're seeing with coaching? I mean, it still seems like a relatively new-ish initiative that we've ramped up to this level. It feels really important to me that, we're monitoring what's making it successful, because I'm sure it's going really well in some places, and I'm sure in other places it's probably not going as well.
And I think a wonderful space would be to have commissioners join one of our Friday forums, which is our monthly coming together and being able to see some of the training and support our coaches get in action. I think that's a wonderful spot. Also, certainly doing walkthroughs in buildings with us and being able to talk candidly with school leaders, with coaches, to hear how it's going for them and hear about the challenges. There are certainly challenges with any model of trying to make sure schedules align so that there can be meaningful time for coaching and that the principal and coach are really tightly aligned. There's all kinds of important details that have to be worked through. But I think the best thing we are doing right now is, again, we're tracking where our coaches are spending time and what they're doing. And then we're also doing a lot of development work. And I think having the board join for some of that development work would be a wonderful opportunity.
Great.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I want to make sure my colleagues get an opportunity here. I just want to, I'm not going to go through everything I just went through with math coaching, but I do want to ask an initial question. We've got 7.8 million for math coaching.
Yep.
What does the overall number look there in the distribution? And then I'm assuming structurally it's sort of similar to the way the ELA coaching works, but if not, can you just tell me what the difference is?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to thank my colleague in the back. So